Hey everyone, today I have the new Ghost Cube. This was a puzzle that was inspired by the Golden Cube back in 2008, but unlike a Cube mechanism, this one uses the typical 3x3 mechanism, so I am really excited to try this out. Aw, it comes in a fancy, nice little bag. Here's the puzzle. Alright. So I went ahead and got this one also in the limited edition gold version. And here it is. Oh wow, that looks amazing. My golden cube is so worn that a lot of the color is faded. Even my little signature from Mefford at the World Championship is fading a little bit. So this was a 3x3 that was initially extended by Adam G. Cohen and is now mass-produced by Meffords. So yeah, this is another one where you have to, you have to slightly turn the sides, and then you can turn all of the layers. Oh my, this is gonna be so hard to solve. But I know how to solve a super cube, so I should be able to eventually get it. Wow, this looks amazing. Jeez, what a mess! Well, okay, so I'm gonna try to solve it a few times and then get back to you guys when I know more about it. Alright, so I've had this cube for a few days now, and the first couple of times, man, it was tough to solve. Because just like the golden cube here, you have the layers are actually misaligned. You have to realign them before you can turn any of the other layers, which means you actually have to solve it in this configuration, and figuring out which pieces matches up with what makes it very difficult. So after I get the first layer solved, I'm constantly having to realign the middle layer to see how the pieces fit into each other. And what this cube really reminded me of is a picture cube, like this chess one that I got from vcubes.com. All of the pieces look very similar when this is mixed up, so there is definitely great difficulty here. Now, one thing I was actually quite surprised about is how small this thing is. I mean, compared to the golden cube, this thing is puny, and this one is more complicated because it's got more pieces, so it's very interesting that they didn't have or make them in like sizes. And I've always loved shape-shifting puzzles because it looks like just such a mess when you mix it up. And it's so satisfying when all of the pieces start coming together. And it's especially satisfying right when you're on the last part of the cube where you're orienting the corners. At least that's the method that I use. It's just so satisfying when it finally all comes together. Now, I will warn you that there is a parity error that can occur. Possibly even two. I won't show you how it happens because, on a typical 3x3, parity errors don't happen. But on this cube, it does. If you want to know how that works, you can check it out in a walkthrough solve I made of this puzzle. But I dare you guys to try to figure it out on yourself because it is quite sneaky. Oh, and if you don't know how to solve a super cube, I would highly recommend that you get one. I got these stickers from cubesmith.com, and they helped immensely in trying to figure this thing out. Because, well, like when you're solving the yellow cross with the beginner's method, typically you just do this algorithm to get the yellow cross. However, on this particular cube, you can't tell if this piece is flipped correctly because it's also in the wrong spot on this one because this is an entirely different shape. You have no idea. So that's where it's especially tricky. So I would highly recommend that you would have one of these cubes sitting next to you. Though, of course, if you want a harder challenge, I suppose you don't need one, but that's my personal recommendation. Oh, and if you're interested in the mechanism, there's not much to it. It's pretty much what you would expect. There's no way I'm gonna completely take this thing apart, but yeah, just looks like the typical Rubik's brand core in there, so nothing too fancy. Don't ask me to completely take this cube apart. Ugh, there's no way I'm gonna be doing that. And this cube actually turns pretty well. I was surprised right out of the box. It didn't really need any lubrication, so I was quite pleased with that. I don't think I want to lubricate it anymore. It still feels a little bit sticky, but I don't really want to lubricate it more because it may spin too fast, because right now it's kind of hard to keep the layers aligned. And on the golden cube, it has a slight little clicky mechanism, and that helps a lot because you know, especially when this thing is all mixed up, you can feel right when, you know, once you feel that snap, it has a firm little click. But then you notice it also has an extra click. Like halfway in the middle, you like feel an extra click, and that's probably so that way, you know, it'll stay solved because there's a milder click right there. So that may be a little too difficult on this puzzle because, you know, there's two different slices. So there would have to be a lot of clicks if you wanted this whole thing stayed together. So that's probably why they didn't use a clicking mechanism, even though it would make it a whole lot easier to solve. Because if you watch in my walkthrough video, the thing probably slips around quite a bit. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. It was completely unsponsored. Now I invite you guys to check out the walkthrough solve that I will be posting about this puzzle, in case you're having trouble solving it, or you're curious about how I solve it, or if you're having trouble with that stupid parity error. Or you can even subscribe to be notified of future videos. Thanks for watching.